Hello and welcome back to this episode of your Kingsport video blog update. At the Board of Mayor and Aldermen last night, the Ridgefield's golf course district was approved, and what that basically sets into motion is when Ridgefield's was originally developed, it was a privately owned golf and country club, and the surrounding neighborhood had lots fronting that club, and there was a master plan that was followed. When the club became private, actually a public restaurant and golf course, it added a different dynamic, and so a temporary zoning was imposed a few months ago to allow the restaurant and the commercial aspects to continue to operate unimpeded. That gave the staff time to go ahead and prepare a more comprehensive solution. So the golf course residential district was established, and it will afford a master plan protection of that general area, and it'll allow more than 500 homes that surround the country club to be able to be involved in any potential decision making on future development that's going to impact their neighborhood. So hopefully it's a great compromise that protects the neighborhood and also allows Ridgefield's to operate as it always has and continue to flourish. In the downtown district, the Bank of Tennessee has assembled the properties within the block that it's located on in the 300 block of East Center Street, and there are alleys that bisect that property that were vacated last night at the Board of Mayor and Aldermen so that Bank of Tennessee can make way and make plans to build a new building in downtown Kingsport. So if you're out and about and see someone from Bank of Tennessee, thank you for their future investment, and we'll look forward to that moving on in the near future. The J. Fred Johnson Stadium renovation and expansion project was presented to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen on Monday and also again on Tuesday. Dan Clayton, who is a design group out of Louisville, Kentucky that specializes in stadiums, presented the information at the request of a committee that was appointed by the Board of Education, made up of a variety of folks from across the community that had varying interests in J. Fred Johnson Stadium. Primarily what they were looking at is ADA compatibility or compliance, and dealing with the restroom situation that hasn't been upgraded in many, many years. And also the byproduct of that was basically adding 1,800 more seats. So discussion took place last night on the extent of the potential renovations and expansion and also the potential financing. No decisions were made, but dialogue will continue, and there does seem to be a general consensus that the board would certainly like to make improvements to J. Fred Johnson. They would just like to know that when they do it, that it is going to be a comprehensive solution that will serve us all very well for the distant future. The new subdivision standards were passed by the Planning Commission, which will allow narrower streets and become more developer friendly, more cost effective. It will make great neighborhoods, and so it's a win-win for all involved. It was a very lengthy process getting that through, and I applaud the planning staff for getting that done and setting the stage for future development as the economy continues to improve. The Harris rezoning was approved last night on first reading, which is about 100 acres at the intersection of Lebanon Road and Kendrick Creek Road. It's probably the last piece of farmland in the Colonial Heights area that's very familiar to anybody who drives down Lebanon Road and glances off to the right, and you see Kendrick Creek itself running through the property and a little babbling kind of waterfall. Mr. Harris was annexed, and he did not want to be zoned single family, so we set it up to where he could be zoned agricultural, and that will continue to protect that property, allow him to do what he wants to do for the long term, and if and when in the future he decides he wants to develop the property, we can discuss appropriate zoning at that time. The Planning Commission approved the first Cleek Road annexations. There's a large parcel that's just east of Walgreens that used to be the old Marlboro Drive-In, and everybody assumes it's in the city, but in fact it's not. So we did make an initiative to begin annexing that area. The property owner did agree to that, and also on the south side of Stone Drive, we annexed the little slivers of property that are going to be necessary to relocate Cleek Road as it's being constructed and realigned up the hill to connect Stone Drive from Walgreens up to Orbank Road, and that project will begin in the very near future. The Gateway Commission and also the Planning Commission dealt with the Reedy Creek Winery proposal at Meadowview. If you've not been out there, the golf course maintenance facility has been vacated and the improvements are underway. They presented a very beautiful adaptation of the golf maintenance facility. They added some arbors that will allow vines, and also there's a like a turret that looks like the California wine country. Some modest but yet very tasteful modifications that will serve that very well as it goes into the future. Planning Commission will be starting the Colonial Heights 7 annexation, which is basically the area that is east of Meadow Lane all the way over to the interstate and up toward the commercial district near Perkins and Comfort Inn, that area. That was an area that flows in a different drainage basin, and it was going to be very expensive to provide sewer, so reached a compromise to where we'll lengthen the deadline for providing sewer, but we'll go ahead and annex the area so that all other services, including schools and fire protection and all the other services, can be provided cohesively to the neighborhood. And it's important to note that sewer is not paid for until it is made available, so the residents are not being penalized in any way by being annexed now with the services being provided later. There's also a provision that if there is a failing septic system that happens in that time period, our public works staff is on standby to make arrangements to collect the tap fee and begin pumping the septic tank so that the property owner would not have to make a large investment into replacing a septic tank only to have us come through a few years later and put in a sewer line. So hopefully that's a great solution that will serve everyone well. Recently got to speak to the Leadership Kingsport program. Always a pleasure to talk to them on Economic Development Day. It really impressed me this time that there were hardly any natives of Kingsport, and that means that folks are moving into the area, they're getting plugged into our community, and they're really eager to learn what they can do to make a difference. Similar programs, Leadership Kingsport has Shout, which is for youth, and Encore, which is for folks over 50 that want to give back after perhaps they've retired and want to do the second phase of their life. So if you're interested in Leadership Kingsport in any of those programs, please contact Vicki Snodgrass at the Chamber of Commerce, and she'll be happy to hook you up on an application and tell you more about it. We also got to hear from AARP, who through their Cities of Service program has created an initiative called Impact Kingsport. That was unveiled at the Kiwanis Club a few weeks ago, and essentially what it does is takes retired executives who have connections and experience in numerous areas of economic development and provides a way for them to help shape the economic development initiatives in Sullivan County. So it allows them to tap into that resource, not just take it with them and go home and completely retire. We'd like to pick their brains, and it gives them an opportunity to stay engaged in the community and help out as well. Yesterday we met with the Visitors Enhancement Program. If you're not familiar with that, it is an initiative where an extra 2% was added to the hotel motel tax, and those funds are used to jumpstart visitor enhancement projects across the city upon approval by this group. One of the most visible examples of the Visitor Enhancement Program is the Wayfinding Signage Program, which are all the beautiful green street signs and the gateway signs welcoming and directing folks through Kingsport. Remember that that's paid for exclusively by folks who came to the area to visit. It's not paid for out of general tax dollars, so it's paid for by visitors and it's intended for visitors. So this is a great way to fund it and help them be able to find all the hidden gems that are across our community. The other areas that we saw yesterday that have been completed with the VEP are the ropes course at Bays Mountain and also the planetarium improvements. So again, just trying to give that leg up to those projects that will bring more visitors to our community. In the border region area, it continues to move forward. We expect to have the district approved in the very near future. We will be pursuing a little bit more annexation in the area to make that boundary match with the border district. We've been meeting with engineers and architects and marketing folks and developers on their strategies and how we're going to be able to help make sure that we have infrastructure to match their development plans. If you've been out that way recently, you may have seen some earthwork beginning on the Fordtown Road project. That has been planned for many, many years, and but the first visible signs of work have only started in the past few weeks. So I know sometimes it gets a little confusing because you'll see it in the media that the border region has kicked off, and then it seems like a couple of weeks later you'll see a road under construction. But while they're related, that road project has been planned for many years. So again, we feel like we're positioning Kingsport to take advantage of that very important state law. The Downtown Kingsport, the Model City Coalition, continues its work. We expect to have an announcement in the next few weeks to be able to explain what our initiatives are going to be in that area. The Southeast Festival and Events Association is in Kingsport this week, visiting at Meadowview. I was able to join them on a bus tour, and I love giving people tours of Kingsport. We went over to Bristol Motor Speedway as well, and it's wonderful to hear the response from folks from all across the Southeast, from Florida to Louisiana to the Carolinas and Alabama and Georgia, and how they view our community as being a very special place. And again, sometimes we tend to forget that being here all the time, but when you hear it from outsiders, it's always gratifying and really motivating. And then this upcoming weekend, ETSU history folks are going to be meeting over at the Kingsport Center for Higher Education. We're going to spend the day talking about the transformation of our community from beginning in 1917 to now, when it comes to the industrial base and some of the things that we've changed to make sure that Kingsport is positioned for the future. And it's always nice again to hear them initiate that request, because they've sat back and sort of watched this happen, and they want to know more about it. So it's very gratifying to see folks say, hey, you're doing great things in Kingsport, keep it up, and we'd like to know more about how you did it. That's your quick update. If you'd like to review this information online, you can go to kingsportblogger.com, or you can send me a friend request on Facebook.